You know that feeling when a perfect IT project plan just completely goes off the rails because of something nobody saw coming? Yeah, it happens all the time. And a lot of the time, the biggest threats aren't the ones you're looking for, but the ones you don't even know exist. So how do you find them before they find you? Well, that's where formal risk identification comes in, and we're about to break down exactly how it works. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to build a solid framework for how to even think about risk. Then, we'll dive into the most critical step, just identifying what could go wrong. After that, we'll unpack two really powerful tools for doing that, checklists and brainstorming. And definitely stick around, because we're going to wrap up with why this is not a one-and-done deal, but a continuous loop that actually makes every single project stronger. All right, before we start hunting for individual risks, we need a map. Seriously, without some kind of structured framework, we're basically just wandering around in the dark, hoping we don't trip over some massive problem. So this section is all about building that map, creating a system that lets us see the whole landscape of what could possibly go wrong. So what are we really talking about when we say a risk? Let's get on the same page. The most important word here is uncertain. See, a risk isn't a problem that's already happening. It's a potential thing that might happen. And if it does, it could totally knock your project off course, for better or for worse. Although, let's be real, we're usually a little more focused on the negative side of things. Now, there are actual formal models for this, like the one you see right here. This particular framework lays out a really clear 4-step cycle for managing risk. You identify it, you analyze it, you plan for it, and you monitor it. It's a whole life cycle. For today, though, we are zeroing in on that crucial first step, identification, because you can't manage a risk you haven't even named, right? This is where the real detective work starts. We all have those kind of vague what-if spheres floating around a project. What if a key supplier is late? What if the new software has a critical bug? Well, risk identification is the process of grabbing those anxieties out of the air and turning them into a concrete list of issues we can actually make a plan for. Our source material really breaks this down into two main approaches. You can think of it as looking backward versus looking inward. The first approach, using checklists, is all about leveraging the hard-won experience from past projects. The second one, brainstorming, is about tapping into the unique collective wisdom of your team right now. Let's start by looking to the past. I mean, why reinvent the wheel, right? Checklists are all about learning from the successes and, the failures of people who've done this before. It's a way to make all that knowledge stick around. So what is a risk checklist exactly? Well, imagine someone hands you a document that lists all the common problems that have popped up on similar projects in the past. That's a checklist. The whole team, all the stakeholders, can then just go through that list and ask, hey, could this happen to us? And the best part? These checklists usually don't just point out the problems, they often suggest proven ways to handle them. And here is a perfect example of how this actually works. Take a look at that top learn. The risk is late changes to requirements, something every single project manager dreads. But the checklist doesn't just stop there. It offers a direct countermeasure, stringent change control procedures. This is exactly what makes checklists so powerful. It's not just a list of things to be scared of, it's an arsenal of proven defenses. Okay, let's move on to our second approach. While checklists look back at the past, brainstorming harnesses the power of the present, your team's unique insights and all their expertise. The process is pretty simple, but the results can be incredible. Picture this. The first draft of the project plan is done. You get everybody in a room, your developers, designers, analysts, the whole crew. The developer might see a technical hurdle in week 6 that nobody else would even think to look for. The designer might flag a potential user experience snag in the workflow. Each person brings their own unique perspective to find problems hidden just beneath the surface of the plan. So you've gone through your checklist, you've held your big brainstorming session, the risk list is done, we can all go home, right? Not so fast. The most successful projects get that identifying risk isn't just a task you check off a list, it's a continuous process that really never stops. The real learning often happens after the project crosses the finish line. A post-project review, sometimes called a post-mortem, is absolutely essential. The team gets together, looks back, and asks the tough questions. What actually went wrong? What totally surprised us? Which problems did we see coming? And which ones just completely ambushed us? And this is where the whole thing comes full circle, creating this amazing feedback loop. Every unexpected problem you just figured out how to solve becomes a known risk for the next team. You add it to the master checklist. This is how an organization learns. The whole process just gets smarter and more resilient with every project you do. Each team's struggles help pave an easier path for the next one. Ultimately, this is why any of this matters. This quote right here really gets to the heart of it. We don't identify risks just so we have more things to worry about. We identify them so we can make a plan. Naming the threat is the first and most critical step you can take towards disarming it. So I'll leave you with a final thought to kind of bring this home. Think back on a project you've worked on. What's the one unexpected problem that popped up? The one thing you really wish you had seen coming? What is the one risk you would add to a checklist to help a future team succeed?